give us a little bit of background about yourself, where you come from and what you do for a living?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a Mexican-born Kiwi citizen as of last month. I have been living here for the past 7 years. I come from a diplomatic upbringing, so my mother was Consul General for Mexico in Chicago, Vancouver, New York throughout my childhood, and living in Mexico in between each posting. So I've moved around quite a bit. When I moved to New Zealand, I decided this was going to be home and this is where I was going to stay, and that I was going to embark on a path of professional and personal development in a way that Mexico wasn't ready or there for me at that time. And I started a project management professional career as a contractor in different government agencies here in Wellington. And now I'm currently an IT project manager within Stats NZ during the day, and I've also developed a hobby to speak and produce events around gender and diversity, specifically focused in women and immigrant women from Latin America, Middle East, Africa, and Southeast Asia.
How do you maintain your energy, and how do you juggle your interests so you aren't drained?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think discipline is a big key thing for me, and mental health. So things that enable mental health plus the discipline are the magic combination. So I have a very structured day-to-day where I wake up, I do exercise, I go to work, and I go home, and I spend time with my partner, and I go to sleep. And then if I spend time doing anything else, it's going to be around my gender work or my studies. I choose to not drink alcohol for this. It's a very conscious decision that helps with my mental health as well as with the discipline that it requires to kind of juggle a lot of things. And I also trust that energy, physical and mental, come in waves. So when I feel like crashing, or I feel distracted, or I feel I'm not completely onto it, I'll just take a break. It might come in a few days, it might be a nap, it might be watching whatever on TV or scrolling through my phone mindlessly, but then I trust that energy will come back at some point, and then I'll be focused again. And so I just trust those waves to come, and that helps me get through a lot. And I nap. Love my naps.
What risks have you taken, and how have you dealt with adversity?
Yeah, I don't say I enjoy risks, but I'm comfortable in a risk setting, so I take quite a few, especially when I moved to New Zealand and I didn't quite know how things worked or how the market worked and what my place in the market, what the cultural nuances were, and so I took a lot of risk trying to figure that out inductively. One of the biggest, I guess, risks is the work I do in the gender space and these events that I run, where that's where I've learned the different things that work and don't work in the New Zealand space in terms of gender, which is a very prickly topic and sometimes not the easiest one to talk about. So I've taken a lot of risks in those events in terms of changing the brand a million times because of unforeseen circumstances, and just trusting that people will come back regardless of not having the context for them. Also helping a lot of women that come from other countries navigate that as well. It is a risk because I don't know them that well, but I trust that they will come and provide a service for the event, and so we hire them as volunteers, and then that's a platform for them that I then reference them for their first job, because that's the biggest thing when you move to New Zealand is you want a reference, you want someone to vet for you in this market. And for some immigrants from some countries, it's not that easy sometimes, and it's not that straightforward, and the nuances are really subtle, and unless someone tells you that you should lower your tone of voice and keep your hands down, and kind of, unless someone tells you these things, there's nothing out there that can tell you what Kiwis like and don't like, react to and don't react to. And because I've been an immigrant in other countries due to a diplomatic upbringing, I'm kind of more sensitive to those things, and I can pick them up quicker. So I've helped facilitate that for other women, which is dear and near to my heart. I love doing that, and I think it's important.
Cool. Where do you get your strength from? What are your tips on self-confidence?
That's a great question. I think I get my confidence from my inner wisdom, and I know wisdom is a airy-fairy kind of concept, but what I mean is just everything I've been through. I just trust that that's taught me something, and the answer will come at some point. So just trusting that that's in here somewhere, and it will shine through when the time is right, has spared me a lot of grief and kind of self-doubt, as well as asking for help in a way that doesn't show weakness, but it shows strength. So knowing when to ask for help, how to ask for help, and who to ask for help in a timely manner and in rapport have been super important skills that I've developed that have helped me navigate these past 7 years in New Zealand, trying to get my professional career up and going, and my personal life and my financial life, and those key things that you want to have. Asking for help is key, and also just trusting myself that even if in that moment I don't know what to do, I will at some point. It will come if I just give it some space. So those are the key two things, I think.
What is your hope for your grandchildren and great-grandchildren?
Well, I guess the biggest thing for me now is just a world where we can have complex conversations in a meaningful, compassionate way. There's a lot of polarizing topics today everywhere, and I'm not sure we have developed the capacity as human beings to have those conversations without necessarily polarizing relationships. And to the smallest level of me and my partner, to big levels like me and government, or me and companies, or me and my boss, or me and the environment I work, or me and the Americans, or me and the French, you know. I think I'd love for that to happen, for us to be able to talk about those things in a more caring spectrum. And I'd love, this is really simple, but I heard this the other day from a podcast where someone said, where class isn't determined by race or gender. And I thought that was like, oh my God, that's so well articulated. And I'd love for that. Not that I want class to be ever an issue, but if it is going to be an issue, it not be based on race and gender. I think that's really powerful.
Great. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.